You push open the crooked door of a house that looks like it was designed by someone with a grudge against straight lines. Inside, the first thing you feel isn't warmth, it's disappointment. The air is smoky, the floor is dirt, and the single window is a hole stuffed with something that might once have been linen, but now functions as a curtain against the world. It doesn't do much against the cold wind sneaking through the cracks. A woman looks up from the hearth where a fire sputters half-heartedly. It smells of wet wood and desperation. She nods at you but doesn't smile. People here don't waste facial expressions unless there's ale involved. The room is small, maybe 2 paces wide, 3 paces long. A single table squats in the center like it regrets existing. Around it, rough benches double as seats, and judging by the blanket draped over one, probably as beds when night falls. Medieval homes don't do personal space. You, your siblings, maybe a couple of grandparents, and occasionally a chicken all share this one-room masterpiece of medieval architecture. Someone coughs from the loft above, a space barely tall enough to sit in. You climb the ladder and find straw mats spread like the world's saddest sleepover party. Historians still argue whether people slept sitting up because of superstition or because lying flat made the smoke from the hearth choke you half to death. Either way, you eye the rafters blackened with soot and understand why fresh air is a luxury here. You duck back down as the wind outside howls through gaps in the walls. The timber frame groans like it's considering retirement. Someone stuffed moss into the cracks as insulation, but it looks like the moss quit halfway through the job. The woman at the hearth tosses another log on the fire, a rare treat given wood prices. Mostly, people burn peat or dried animal dung because nothing says home sweet home like the aroma of smoldering cow pies. Your eyes water, and not just from sentimentality. Children cluster near the flames, faces smeared with whatever today's meal was. One kid pokes the fire with a stick like he's negotiating with it for warmth. The fire, unimpressed, sputters smoke in return. You glance up at the rafters again. Strips of meat hang there, drying slowly in the smoky air. At least you hope it's meat. Could be fish. Could be something you don't want to identify before dinner. The smoke preserves it, kills the bugs, well, most of them, and gives everything that signature medieval flavor nobody asked for. Someone enters through the door, letting in a blast of cold air that makes everyone groan in unison. It's a man carrying a sack of something that thumps like root vegetables. He stomps the mud off his boots, or tries to. Mostly he just redistributes it across the floor. Medieval floors are covered in rushes, bits of straw, sometimes herbs to mask the smell. You look down and realize you're standing on what is essentially the Middle Ages version of carpet, except it gets replaced maybe twice a year, if you're lucky. The man empties his sack onto the table. Turnips, onions, maybe a carrot pretending it's enough vegetables for the week. Food here isn't about variety, it's about not starving before spring. Bread, ale, and pottage, a kind of everything-in-one-pot stew, form the holy trinity of medieval dining. Don't ask what's in the pottage. If it was edible and nearby, it's in there. A sudden draft slams the door open again, and everyone yells at once. Someone wedges a rock against it. The walls shake in protest. The Middle Ages were not built for comfort. They were built for survival with a side of splinters. You sit at the table, careful to avoid the spot where the bench lists to one side like a sinking ship. The woman ladles out thick grayish stew into wooden bowls. No spoons. You drink it like soup, trying not to think about whether the smoky flavor is intentional or just part of the ambiance. Above the hearth, a crude crucifix hangs, darkened by years of smoke. Faith lives here alongside drafts, dirt, and dinner. People pray for good harvests, fewer plagues, and maybe a winter that doesn't feel like a personal attack. A baby wails from somewhere under the blankets in the corner. A dog scratches itself near the door, shakes vigorously, and adds another layer of mud to the floor. A chicken hops onto the bench beside you like it owns the place. Nobody moves it. You realize this single room is kitchen, bedroom, living space, and occasional barn all in one. Privacy? Never heard of her. Heat? Barely. Comfort? Only if you're comparing it to being outdoors in the snow. Someone tells a joke about the tanner's apprentice falling into a vat again. Everyone laughs like it's the best comedy they've heard all month. Given the entertainment options, maybe it is. The wind outside rises, rattling shutters, making the whole house shiver. People huddle closer to the fire, wrapping cloaks tight, sharing warmth like currency. You do the same, because the cold doesn't care if you're visiting from centuries ahead. It bites everyone equally. And as smoke curls toward the rafters, you start to think this house, drafty and dim as it is, might be the warmest place in town. Which says a lot about the rest of it.